Kaduna Refinery and Petrochemicals Company says it will resume daily production of 2 million litres of petrol starting from Wednesday, April the 27th. This is part of efforts to address the current fuel scarcity across the country. Managing Director of the refinery, Pt.3, explains the plant, which will be getting supply of crude from Escravos in Warri, will begin production in earnest. He says efforts have been put in place to ensure constant supply of the petroleum products to help reduce the hardship Nigerians are currently facing. Mr. Mukhtar also blames activities of pipeline vandals as largely responsible for the lingering scarcity. And as fuel scarcity continues to linger across the country, motorists in Kogi State have had to endure long queues at service stations. There appears to be a face-off between officials of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps and independent marketers. While the marketers are accusing them of extortion, security operatives claim the independent marketers are hoarding and selling petrol above the approved prompt price of 86 naira and 50 kobo per litre.
Under the scorching sun, these motorists struggle to get petrol. But the challenge here is that fuel is not selling for 86 naira 50 kobo.
A tanker of NNPC came to discharge fuel at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and they used polythene bag to cover the logo of NNPC, and that tanker was accompanied by civil defense, and on Monday morning they started selling at 190. Our concern is that where do these people get their own fuel?
The price hike is not the only problem. At night, most of the independent marketers try to sell petrol, but they've been stopped by operatives who say they're from the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. According to them, the independent marketers are hoarding the product, which is why they prefer to sell at night.
Yes, no.
We are working together.
There's nothing like subcharging. We're only enforcing presidential mandate of 68.50 naira per litre. When I got there, I discovered they were selling 200 naira per litre. So I tried all means to enforce the new price regime.
But the marketers have their own story to tell. They say they've been constantly harassed by security operatives who've been extorting them.
You can see that a lot of jerrycan in their van taking fuel to their colleagues, asking each station to pay 200 naira before you could sell above the pump price, which we deny. And they are not working with DPR. They will come to any station, bounce to any station, descend on the pump attendant, selling normal price.
The DPR has a role to play here, which is to monitor and seal off stations selling above pump price. So have they been able to carry out this responsibility?
2 days ago, we heard that 17 PMS trucks have been allocated to Kogi State. But so far, we got just 7 trucks. So we're expecting the additional 10 trucks. But what the DPR is trying to do now is to monitor this product, to ensure that this product reaches the masses.
Kogi State, like many other states in Nigeria, has gone through the unpleasant experience of motorists queuing endlessly, waiting to buy petrol. But promises from the Minister of State for Petroleum in recent times seems to provide some reassurance that the situation will soon be under control.
As Nigerians complain about the drop in electricity supply, the Minister for Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, is once again assuring them that the government is working to resolve the problems. According to him, the federal government has a plan to complete 47 transmission projects this year, and if adequate gas can be supplied, challenge in the power sector will be resolved. The minister was speaking on our breakfast program, Sunrise Daily.
It's a very hot season of the year, and I see my children too. sweating, heat rash, and looking at me is like, look, what are you doing about this thing? But let me be very clear, this problem can be solved, but it just needs some more detailed and methodical approach. Now, first work to do is supply more gas. So without gas, I'm like a generator owner who can get fuel, so I can't power my plants. And I know that the Ministry of Petroleum Resources is working hard first to overcome that problem. We had plans that we had agreed on to provide more gas to all of those struggling power plants which didn't have gas. So there are errors of planning of yesterday, but there are errors that can be corrected. There are omissions of yesterday. Proper planning to build a power plant and arrange that simultaneously when the power plant is completed, the gas input is also completed.
It's some good news that the President has met with the National Assembly to resolve the grey areas before giving assent to Budget 2016. But those who have been on the receiving end are the manufacturers, as they are unable to make any decision as they wait for the budget. 6 ministers were in Lagos explaining the economic goals of the present administration and efforts at improving electricity, making the refineries work, and rejigging the transport sector. But how convinced are the manufacturers about these efforts? Joining me now on the News at 10 is Mr. Muda Yusuf, the Director General of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming on the News at 10. Before we look at the issue of the ministers, of course, the President let me just get your thoughts on this. The President has just met with the leadership of the National Assembly and they have agreed to work speedily and pass the budget in a matter of days. What do you suppose the impact will be on manufacturers like you?
Well, the impact will naturally be positive, not just on manufacturers, but for all sectors of the economy. Because the economy has been going through a period of long uncertainty. Confidence of investors have been low, and the delay in the budget has also contributed to this problem of uncertainty and problem of declining confidence of investors. So the decision by the President and the National Assembly to meet to resolve the grey areas is a welcome development. And don't forget, even within the budget appropriation, there are plans within the budget to reflect the economy, to fix infrastructure and all of that. All these things have to be driven by the budget. It is good news for the private sector.
The ministers, as you know, were in Lagos to explain to Nigerians what is being done to propel the economy and set it on the right path for speedy growth. Did they sound convincing to you?
Well, not quite. First, the composition of the town hall meeting. What we saw were basically some traditional rulers, students, some party faithfuls, and so on. The participation was not sufficiently inclusive. I didn't see much of private sector presence in that session. And even on the government side, one of the biggest issues that the private sector is facing and that the economy is facing today has to do with the foreign exchange policy. We saw the Minister of Works, Transport, Petroleum, but the CBN governor was not there. For this kind of meeting, I think the discussion should focus more on things that are burning right now. It should reflect the mood of the nation. And the critical issues bordering the economy now and bordering the private sector now. Two main issues. Issues around foreign exchange policy and issues around energy. And of course, we have the budget. The budget is on the way of being, it's about to be resolved now. But we still have big issues with the foreign exchange policy. We have big issues with remittances, big issues with manufacturers and other players in the economy that cannot access forex, that cannot get critical inputs. Big issues with trade arrears, which is already running to billions of dollars. Big issue even with reputation, because many investors cannot service their offshore obligations. So
where do we begin?
So it's a very big issue, which I think should form a major discussion in this kind of town hall meeting. But it didn't feature at all.
So where do you suppose we begin from?
No, we should be addressing these issues. And that is why I think that for that kind of discussion, first, there should have been a more robust private sector participation. Secondly, I expect that the CBN governor should be there. Because the issue of the foreign exchange is it has a systemic impact on virtually all aspects of the economy.
But you know, this is just the first of 6 other meetings that they will have in a couple of in the span of a couple of months from now.
Yeah, it's the first.
So what would you like to see now that the first one has gone through? The second one will hopefully be holding somewhere in the east. What would you advise to the team to consider?
First, the composition of those who will participate. Because the economy is facing a major issue now. So I expect that the participation of the players in this economy, of investors in this economy, of entrepreneurs in this economy should be more robust. Secondly, the agenda should address the mood of the nation. The mood of the nation now is about challenges with foreign exchange. It should feature prominently on the agenda, and the CBN governor should be there. The issue around fuel scarcity, what are we doing about it? We want a solution that is sustainable. Such issues, I think, should feature very prominently. Because what we have seen now are just a kind of palliatives that, okay, we bring in more trucks and so on. We don't think that is the solution. Because otherwise we'll be going around in circles. We need to engage the government on its rigidity, on the foreign exchange policy, and its rigidity on the deregulation of the downstream sector. Because these two issues are becoming a major burden, not just for investors, even for the citizens. And we need to sort it out, and sort it out very quickly.
Mr. Mudu Yusuf, the Director General of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I want to thank you so much indeed for your time and your thoughts with us here on the News at 10. Still ahead on the News at 10, the jury into Britain's worst sporting disaster blames police failure for the deaths of 96 Liverpool soccer fans in the 1989 Hillsborough Stadium crash. Join us again.